The GPU market in 2026 is unforgiving. Prices are high, product stacks are confusing, and several graphics cards on sale right now are simply bad purchases if you care about performance, longevity, or value. Buying the wrong GPU today doesn't just hurt your FPS, it locks you into compromises and an upgrade cycle you didn't plan for. This isn't about brand loyalty. It's about understanding how the GPU market actually works in 2026. Below are 5 GPUs and one entire category you should actively avoid, followed by smarter alternatives that make more sense in a market where prices are not trending downward. Number 1. RTX 4060 Ti 8GB, the poster child of bad value. The RTX 4060 Ti 8GB is not misunderstood. It's the clearest example of what's wrong with mid-range GPUs in 2026. The problems are structural. 8 GB of VRAM, 128-bit memory bus, pricing that never matched real-world performance. In modern games, even at 1080p and 1440p, 8 GB of VRAM is routinely exceeded. When that happens, performance doesn't degrade gracefully. It stutters, drops frames, and feels broken. At its typical pricing of $350 to $450, you're paying a premium for the NVIDIA badge while being forced to manage texture settings like it's a budget card. When does it make sense? Only if you find one very cheap on eBay, ideally $300 or less. What's better instead? RTX 5060, 8 GB, if priced reasonably. RX 7800 XT, 16 GB, for far stronger raster performance and longevity.
Number 2. RTX 4070 Super, trapped by its own pricing.
The RTX 4070 Super isn't a bad GPU, it's a bad deal in 2026. Right now, RTX 4070 Supercards commonly trade around $600 to $650 in the US market. That price puts it in an awful position. Why? Because for just $550 to $600, you can often step up to an RTX 5070 which delivers noticeably better performance, newer architecture, better efficiency, stronger long-term support. At the same time, AMD cards at similar prices offer more VRAM and stronger raster value. That leaves the RTX 4070 Super stuck in the middle, not cheap enough to be a value buy, not powerful enough to justify its price. Unless you find it at a deep discount, buying a new RTX 4070 Super in 2026 simply doesn't make sense.
Number 3. RTX 5080, powerful, but a terrible value buy.
The RTX 5080 is fast, but in 2026 it's also one of the worst value purchases in the high-end GPU segment. Real-world pricing tells the story. RTX 5080 cards often sell for $1,250 to $1,400 plus. Availability is limited. Price drops are not happening. Now here's the comparison NVIDIA doesn't want you to make. On eBay, used RTX 4080 Supercards regularly sell for $800 to $900. At that price, a used 4080 Super delivers near 5080 level performance, costs $300 to $500 less, offers plenty of headroom for 1440p and 4K gaming. For most gamers, the RTX 5080's performance uplift does not justify paying hundreds more, especially when GPU prices are under upward pressure due to memory costs, manufacturing constraints, and AI demand.
Number 4. RTX 4068 GB, only worth it when it's actually cheap.
The RTX 4060 has the same core problem as the 4060 Ti, just scaled down. Once again, 8 GB VRAM, 128-bit memory bus, immediate compromises in modern titles. Used RTX 4060 cards typically trade around $280 to $350. At the top of that range, they're simply bad value. DLSS helps with raw FPS, but it cannot fix VRAM pressure. Memory limits still cause stutter, texture pop-in, and inconsistent performance. When does it make sense? Only if you find one around $250 or less as a temporary solution. If you're already spending $350 to $400, the RTX 5060 8 GB is a far better long-term purchase or a used 7600 XT 16 GB from eBay.
Any new mid-range GPU with 8 gigabytes of VRAM. This is the most important rule in this entire article. Do not buy a new GPU in 2026 with only 8 gigabytes of VRAM if it costs more than $250 to $300.
At this point, 8 GB in the mid-range is not a technical limitation, it's a business decision. Game developers are targeting consoles with far more available memory. PC games will continue scaling upward. An 8 GB buffer guarantees early compromises and a shorter usable lifespan.
If a manufacturer launches a $300 plus GPU with 8 gigabytes of VRAM in 2026,
They are telling you exactly how long they expect that card to remain relevant. What you should actually target in 2026, use this framework.
1080p or 1440p gaming.
Minimum 12 gigabytes VRAM. Long-term builds, 16 gigabytes of RAM is the real sweet spot. Ignore generation labels.
Focus on VRAM, memory bus, and real benchmarks. Older high-end cards with more memory often age far better than brand new GPUs with artificial limits.
The market has changed. Buy accordingly. The GPU market in 2026 rewards informed buyers and punishes impulse purchases. Many of the GPUs listed here are not failures of engineering. They are failures of value positioning in a market that has moved on. If you avoid VRAM-starved cards, stop chasing new for the sake of it, and consider the used high-end market, you can build a system that performs better, lasts longer, and costs less, even as GPU prices continue creeping upward. If this guide helped you avoid a bad purchase, consider subscribing for more no-nonsense PC hardware breakdowns. And now I want to hear from you. Which GPU do you think is the worst value in 2026, and why? Drop it in the comments.